based off the flagpole here is where they think roughly, based off all the photos they have of the day, location, I mean everything, roughly is where Lincoln spoke and gave the Gettysburg Address. They would have built over top of the headstones, would have moved some. You can see some of these are here are newer. With that, though, imagine thousands of people, though, gathered around here to come witness, you know, the main speaker gave a talk for 2 hours long, roughly. So you know, they gather for a nice orator. So they figure, and think about this for a second. The president was the follow-up guy. The president was not the main liner. That he was kind of an afterthought of like, well, let's when the city of Gettysburg here, the village of Gettysburg said, well, let's get together and hold a memorial, a remembrance day. Let's come here and gather here. And I said, for kicks and giggles, let's invite President Lincoln and see if he comes. And by just sheer luck, he was able to come and make it and be here for it. One reason why we do not have no photos of Abraham Lincoln standing up giving the big address is because the photographers thought, you know, the last guy spoke for 2 hours. The president's liable to speak for 2 or 3. So they thought they had time to get all their cameras repositioned. At the time, it's not like our new cameras, you just click, click, click. Back then, it's a lot of process getting the camera set up, making your film, it's all wet type photography, and then setting up all the camera, getting all things adjusted in. There's only one photo of Lincoln here, with near where he would have been speaking, and he has his hat off. And he's about halfway down the platform in this direction here, going back into the crowd of people. That is the only photo we have a record of Lincoln actually being here, physically here giving the address. Because the photographers had no time to get, you know, the camera thing set up, because he only spoke for a little over 2 minutes. So with that being said, it's fitting and proper. I'm going to pass around a paper, and I want each of you to take, it's only 2 minutes, and we have plenty of time. Or if 2 of you want to read together, we'll pass it around. We'll go in groups of 2. And read, we could get the right copy here, the Bliss copy, as we go through and give this.
How many copies were there?
5. 5 known copies of what was finally said. This is the last, you know, thought, I mean, the last kind of put together one, because he does improvise a little bit with some of his lines he adds on. With that, although they mark it roughly with the flagpole, but in all honesty, they suspect within about a 20-foot radius of roughly where that platform would have been standing. So who would like to start?
407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation.
Conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war.
Testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war.
We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives.
That this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate.
We cannot consecrate. We cannot hollow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above
our poor power to add and detract. The wall with little notes, not long remember what we say.
But it can never forget what they did here. It is for us living rather
to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced.
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion.
That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain.
That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not
perish from the earth.